A major downgrade in economic expectations is making headlines today. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which represents 38 of the world's wealthiest nations, has sharply revised its forecast for U.S. economic growth. The projection for 2025 has been lowered from 2.2% to just 1.6%. The group also warns of a significant slowdown in the global economy, not just this year, but next as well. A key factor contributing to this outlook is the stalled trade negotiations between the United States and China. These unresolved talks are having serious implications for multiple industries, particularly footwear. The footwear industry has labeled tariffs an existential crisis. While President Trump recently stated that his focus is not on manufacturing items like t-shirts and socks in the U.S., the industry remains deeply concerned. Footwear companies are urging the administration for an exemption from reciprocal tariffs, emphasizing that their businesses are already burdened with billions of dollars in duties, some of which have existed for over a century. Matt Priest, CEO of the Footwear Distributors and Retailers of America, says the uncertainty surrounding tariff rates makes it nearly impossible for brands and retailers to price goods effectively for upcoming seasons. The footwear industry holds 4 major market events each year in New York, and current conversations are dominated by confusion over 2026 product costing due to tariff instability. Companies are unsure if tariffs will remain at 30%, 15%, 10%, or spike higher. In some recent cases, rates have reached between 145% and 154%, effectively acting as embargoes. So far, prices for footwear have not increased significantly. However, many brands are warning that as tariffs begin to fully impact production costs, retail prices will inevitably rise. This will likely affect American consumers during peak shopping periods such as back to school and the holiday season. The broader concern is how these cost increases will hit everyday shoppers. Footwear companies estimate the average consumer currently spends between $30 and $50 on a pair of shoes. With anticipated price hikes of 15% to 20%, this could lead to notable reductions in consumer spending across all goods, not just shoes. Footwear brands, including household names like Nike and Crocs, are bracing for major changes. While large retailers might appear immune, many of the vendors and suppliers behind these brands are small, family-owned businesses that lack the financial cushion to absorb the impact. One New York-based footwear company that used to pay $60,000 a month in duties now pays $360,000, a 6-fold increase. These razor-thin margins make it impossible to absorb additional costs without raising prices or cutting jobs. At the same time, President Trump is doubling down on tariffs in the steel industry. Starting tomorrow, the White House plans to double steel tariffs from 25% to 50%. This decision has already sent steel stocks soaring. Companies like Nucor and Steel Dynamics jumped 10% in a day, while Cleveland-Cliffs surged 23%, its biggest one-day gain in nearly a decade. The goal, according to the administration, is to boost U.S. steel production and bring jobs back to the Rust Belt. However, critics argue that the impact on downstream industries, those that rely on steel to manufacture products, could outweigh the benefits. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers warns these new tariffs will raise consumer prices and harm competitiveness, especially in sectors like the automobile industry. Historically, similar tariffs in 2018 did little to boost steel jobs, adding only 1,000, while companies that rely on steel lost 75,000 jobs. So what does this all mean for consumers and businesses? Increased uncertainty, rising prices, and potentially fewer jobs in industries beyond steel. Whether the current tariff strategy will successfully bring manufacturing back to the U.S. remains highly debated. But what's clear is that businesses across footwear and other sectors are bracing for the economic fallout. As these economic stories continue to unfold, we'll keep you updated on how policy changes are shaping industries, and your wallet. If you found this breakdown useful and want to stay informed with clear, no-nonsense updates, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us bring you deeper, smarter coverage on the issues that matter most. Thank you for watching.